Mark, can you briefly explain your current job as a vice president of MG Bank?
Sure. I have two roles. I'm a manager, but I'm also a mortgage loan officer. And as a mortgage loan officer, I help people finance homes. These are homes for their personal use, second home, or investment property.
Okay.
I'm the one supposed to be laughing, not you.
Okay. As a vice president of MG Bank, what responsibilities do you have that your job requires?
My responsibilities are to listen, to be a good communicator, because I have to figure out what my clients need. I have to understand the challenges that they bring. Somebody could be ready to buy a home. They have perfect credit, they have perfect income, they have perfect assets, money. But I may also be dealing with somebody that has not perfect credit, maybe because they're young or because they've had a medical issue. So I have to be able to navigate. And every situation, every individual is different. Some can be real easy, some can be very challenging. Some is yes, maybe, and sometimes no. So I have to be able to communicate very effectively that way.
People's person?
People being a people's person is definitely very good, but you also have to be analytical, like you are, being in that class, right?
Right.
You have to be able to take all that data, and you have to be able to analyze it, and then to work within the system. I don't make the final decision. That's an underwriter. I have to bring everything together and then hand it over to another team member, and then ultimately that decision is made on that.
Okay. How does your job involve math? Like what types of math?
The math that I do is somewhat specific. On one level, it's simply qualifying you. Well, how do we qualify someone? Again, you tell me, hey Mark, this is my income. This is how much I make. This is how much I have to pay, my liabilities, my credit, what's on my credit report. I have a car payment, a student loan payment, and so on and so forth. This is how much money I have in the bank to qualify. So if I tell you, Mikah, you want to buy a $500,000 house? Yeah, sure, no problem. Oh, that's probably not a good answer, right? I'd say, Mikah, you want to buy a $500,000 house?
Yes.
Let's take a look at your application. So you're going to give me an application, and I'm going to say, you have the right income. I'm going to pull your credit report, put that on the application. You have great credit scores. Well, let's see, $500,000 home, you'll need 20% down, that's $100,000. Yep, you've got $100,000 in the bank. And that's what we do.
Do you know how much math your job would require before stepping into it?
No. Well, yes and no. I was a banker before I was a mortgage officer, so I had a rough idea of how to qualify someone. But generally speaking, the math that we do is relatively easy. And it's easy because it's repetitive. It's typically the same formulas over and over again. So it's not like we're taking on new formulas and things like that. So it's very repetitive in that sense. The challenge though is that the individual is different.
Okay.
So
Problem solving is like a life skill. How did you use problem solving in your job?
wow, that's a good question. Well, we use problem solving all the time because each individual is its own challenge, right? So the key to problem solving is to get all the facts. The key to problem solving is to listen. So you listen with intent. You ask the right questions. Sometimes people aren't trying to be deceptive. They're not trying to hide something. They just don't know what you want to know. So a good loan officer will walk you through the questions. I tell you to complete an application, that should be enough, right?
Right.
Well, when I look at that application, you may have left out the fact that you still have that checking account that you had when you were in college and that your mom set up for you. And oh, I forgot, I've got another $15,000 in that account. Well, now you have enough money to qualify. Or you may have forgotten that your next door neighbor, your buddy for life, right, came to you a couple years ago and said, hey, Mikah, can you co-sign for me? My credit, it's not, I know you're perfect. You take, sure, buddy, no problem. I'll co-sign for you. And then all of a sudden you come to the loan officer, you haven't pulled your credit, and we pull your credit and say, Mikah, you have a problem. Like, what do you mean I have a problem? I have perfect credit. I pay everything. Yeah, but you got a car payment to afford. You haven't made a payment in 3 months. That was my buddy George. I co-signed for him a couple years ago. So you have to be able to pull all those things together and deal with it as it comes. But being analytical is very important. And a lot of people make mistakes by jumping too quickly into things without fully getting all the data in front of them. So you want to get all that data in front of you, analyze it, and then make a decision on that.
No, my last and final question. What point in your life did you decide to go into finance?
I was a psychology undergrad, believe it or not. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. So I was going to be an industrial organizational psychologist, so which is research and stuff like that. I did a semester kind of internship with a professor and then realized I didn't really like it. So plus I liked business more than I did the psychology of it. I had probably close to 20 hours of business in one form or another. So I graduated with my degree and then got a job as a personal banker and then kind of an affluent banker. And then I transitioned into mortgage at that time. The fundamental difference with a mortgage officer and a regular banker is that we're predominantly commission. Commission income means, in short, I don't know what I'm going to make next month. Most people can't handle that, right?
Right.
I want to know exactly what I'm going to make next month. Makes sense, right?
Right.
Why would somebody want to go to commission?
So they can know what they make.
Well, go to commission, not salary. Somebody wants salary because they'll make it. So why would somebody want to go to commission when they don't know what they'll make? Is that crazy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So give me a reason. Why do you think someone would want to do that?
Far out, want to live, better risking your money.
There. Oh, so you just caught on something. Why is your father self-employed?
Because he wants to make money.
That's one way. He's also in control. It's a lot of different reasons, but being self-employed is a lot more riskier in many cases than being salaried. And not to say that being salaried can be risky. It can be. You could lose your job tomorrow. Nobody could, that's just the reality of it. But in the commission versus salary, the idea is a risk-reward deal. So if you're going to give me $5,000 a month to be in this job, I'll come to work every day, I'll work hard, I'll make the money. $5,000, that's good money, right?
Right.
But what if someone told you, would you like to double that or triple it?
I want to triple it.
Well, yeah, so, okay, what's the drawback? Well, next month, if you don't close anything, if you don't take all these problems and create solutions, you won't get paid anything. What do you mean I won't get paid anything? I like that $5,000 now. No, you're in commission now. So you have to make that transition, that mindset change, to be able to say, I realize I don't, but I will make it happen. What do I need to do to be able to get these people in front of me so that I can sort through all those things? And so there's a marketing component to what I do, something we haven't talked about. My job is business development, is to get these deals, to get these individuals so I can close their loans. And when I close their loans, I get paid. And so I can take that $5,000 and turn it to 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 or 100,000 a month. Not happening in this world right now for me, but I'm just saying, it's that commission is that boundless deal, but you have to be able to take the risk of it as well. This is true for financial advisors as well. So if you go within the bank environment, your commission people are typically your loan officers and your financial advisors. As you get into commercial banking and private banking, they do get a base salary, but they also have bonus also. So it's a little different too. If they don't do anything all year, they won't get their bonus. And their bonus in many cases can be half of their salary, it can be double their salary. It just depends on what area of the bank you're working in. But the greater the risk is always going to be the higher the reward. So that's it. That's the personal banking side. Okay, and then and I was salaried. I got a small little bonus. Today, if I was in that position, it'd be a lot more of a bonus because that's the way the banking world is going. Back in the old days, banking was very, you bring it to me, and then we'll deal with it. You ever seen Jim Carrey in that movie Liar? I think was it Jim Carrey in The Mask? He's a banker in that movie, and they show him sitting at the desk waiting for people to come in. That was the tradition of a banker, right?
Right.
Today, if I sat at a desk in a bank branch and wait for people to come in, I would lose my job in a heartbeat because there's nobody coming into the branch. You kids are all on the internet and social media, right? So how do I get in front of you? So it's about developing business. It's about getting in front. So as a personal banker, and then it's like a year of that, and then an affluent banker, and then becoming into mortgage. And after the first year in mortgage, my boss brought me in his office told me what a great guy I am. If your boss ever brings you into the office and tells you what a great guy you are, it usually means there's something bad coming. So he said, you're a great guy, really enjoy having you, but I don't know if this is a good fit for you. This is what he told me. After the first year in business, I just missed the cutoff by like 100,000. I mean, closed 5.9 million my first year back in 1998. By the way, today, 5.9 million in someone's first year is actually a pretty decent year. But back then, he had very high standards, and he told me, hey, probably not going to work out for you. So I had to sit there and tell him, I disagree. I think this is the perfect job for me. I think I have the personality for it. You know, I like to talk. That usually helps, right? So he was going to say, hey, I don't know if you're going to, I don't know. And I said, well, I've got some business closing this next month, and then I got something in my pipeline. Because somebody may want to buy a home. I may talk to somebody in January. They may not buy a home until June. So I'm going to stay in touch with them, right?
Right.
So I'm going to communicate with them, send you a text. Hey, how's the home search going? Oh, it's good. Still waiting to save some money. Well, keep it up. Let me know if you have any questions, right? That's all done through texting, right? Or social media. Go onto your Facebook. Hey, I just saw that you got back from vacation. Don't spend all your money. You got to buy that house. All right, talk to you later. But so you want to maintain that pipeline. So in this case, here I went from basically him telling me, you're done. And I probably would have gone back into banking. I probably would have gone back to more of that salary-based position. I doubled my production that next year, and then pretty much every year for the next 3 or 4 years, I doubled my production. So I went from boom to boom to boom to boom, to being the number 2 lender in the city of San Antonio, of all lenders in the Business Journal, right? So that took a lot of work. And I realized, I was a little crazy. Sometimes commission people are a little crazy because it's a little crazy to go into a job where you don't know where you're going to make, like a self-employed person, So, but that's kind of the gist of it. But it's definitely a good career. But when you look at the banking world, you have commercial banking, that's for companies, big companies. You have business banking, which is for smaller companies. You have personal banking, like the guys downstairs. And then you have private banking, that's for individuals who have a lot of money. And then you have what we call commercial, private banking, business banking, retail, and those are all the components of what we do. And then a financial advisor takes the money that you make and invests it for you. And that could be in the retail or it can be private banking. I'm very visual, by the way, you can tell.
Did you regret going to commission before?
No, the first year was extremely hard. But my wife, your dad's cousin, was a teacher, and she still is, and she had a stable income. That's what I'm saying. Salary's good, it's stability. And for her being a teacher with that stability, that enabled me to be able to take a risk. If she didn't have that base income coming in every month, I probably wouldn't have made it. I probably would have said, hey, I'm gonna go back into a salary job. I would have found another way because I'm hungry, and that's the thing about being in commission, typically you're hungry, you're eager, you want to do better. And a lot of times it boils down to competitive. For me, it's not about the money. I don't sit there and look, oh, I'm commissioned, I made this amount of money. To me, it's I've closed this amount of volume, or I've helped this amount of families, 3 families this month, 10 families next month. And I love, what I love the most about my job is when, you and I met in January. I stayed in touch with you. And I gave you those texts, not social media, right? You saved up your money. And then come back in July, you end up buying the house. But you had that issue with your friend, but you talked to him and he made those payments on time and he refinanced. You told him, hey, go finance with somebody else now. Hey, and he's like, Mikah, thank you so much for helping me out. Okay, you helped him, now it's time to take care of you. Your credit score's improved. You've got the income, you've got the assets. You bought a house in June, okay? And you closed on, you have a realtor. Okay, I didn't know who the realtor was, I knew you. The realtor says, hey Mark, you did a really good job for Mikah over here. I like the way you work. I'm gonna send you some people. That's what I love. And then you close and you go to work and you say, man, I just bought this house. I had my realtor, George, and I had my mortgage officer, Mark, and someone goes, oh, can I have his number? And all of a sudden Susie's calling me and, hey, Mikah told me to call you. I'm looking to buy a house. That's what I love about this business because it creates momentum. And before you know it, you've got this person referring and that person referring. Remember we talked about business development. I gotta find the business, right? When you get that kind of momentum going, I'm not having to worry about finding the business is coming in. And that can be very gratifying. And the only way you get to that level is to take good care of your customer, right? To make sure that you understand, you're not feeling intimidated, you don't feel like I'm talking over you. You know what I'm saying? You got to figure out how to communicate. You have to be able to communicate with somebody like yourself who's a high level math, right? Numbers come easier for you versus somebody else who doesn't have a math degree, you know, who's not college educated, who feels very intimidated, you know, and they may have some credit issues. They don't want to be talked down to, you know, they have some life issues. They're here now, you know, so you learn to be very respectful to people, and you learn how to communicate at different levels. You know what I mean? By being respectful, not being condescending. So.